Welcome to Life Talk with Mariette. I am Mariette. This show is about the life lessons that shape us, what I've learned, what I'm still learning, and how we grow through challenge, awareness, and purpose. I will share personal insights to motivate and inspire you, and sometimes invite guests who do the same. At its heart, Life Talk is about real stories, real growth, and meaningful connection. This is Life Talk with Mariette. Motivational, inspirational, full of heart. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Life Talk with Mariette. I'm your host, Mariette Camera. In today's program of Conscious Living 2025, we present Staying Well When the World Feels Unsteady. Everywhere we turn, we're surrounded by noise, headlines, rising costs, financial uncertainty, and the daily stress of keeping up. It's no wonder many of us are asking, how do I protect my health, my peace of mind, and my sense of balance in times like these? In this program, we look at real life situations and practical solutions. And together we'll explore how to quiet the outside noise and keep perspective, ease financial worries while protecting our security, recognize the hidden cost of living on our health, and most importantly, build resilience and everyday wellness, no matter what's happening in the world. Now, that's tough. Because while we can't always control the world around us, we can control the way we care for ourselves within it. Joining us today is Dr. Chris Gilbert, MD, PhD, and author of 10 books on the web, drchrisgilbert.com. Good evening, Dr. Chris.
Good evening, Mariette. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us tonight. Culinary educator Shakima Romero is in the house with us. Welcome, Chef. It's nice to have you here.
I thank you guys. Thank you for inviting me and for being part of it.
Great. And of course, Robert O'Donnell, our Life Talk contributor. Hello and welcome, Robert.
Good evening, Marietta. Thank you for having me.
Great. So let's get started. You're tuned in to Life Talk with Mariette. I'm your host, Mariette Camera. And yes, tonight's topic is staying well when the world feels unsteady. Welcome to Conscious Living Series 2025. Life feels uncertain these days. News, finances, and rising costs weigh on all of us, but our health and peace of mind don't have to suffer. And in today's Conscious Living, we're talking about how to quiet the noise, ease money stress, and build everyday resilience. Small steps can keep us steady even when the world feels unsteady. So let's see how that's going to look. I have some emails that I received the last 3 days. And let's start with navigating outside noise. And Charlotte was writing, I feel drained after scrolling the news at night. Is it really that harmful? And I'd like to start with Robert this time. Robert, do you watch the news every day? Because I do. 6:30 to 7, that's my news time, and I pay attention. Do you get to the news with all your busyness during the day and odd hours, California and different parts of the U.S.? Do you get to listen to the news?
I only get my news sporadically, and I don't sit down like you and watch a certain news channel every night, same news channel, whatnot. But I get my news as it kind of hits the social media more than the traditional mainstream media, because I probably 2015 I cut the cable, cut the cord. I was so sick of just watching the same thing, whether it was a movie that was just the same plot as a movie I just watched 2 weeks ago, but with different people and slightly different dialogue. But everything, because I work at home and had the TV on constantly from 2000 whatever to 2015. By that time, I was just so tired of everything. I just basically turned everything off and went straight to just streaming. If I want to watch it on demand, that's fine. But otherwise, I don't need it piped into the house 24/7. And with that, I cut out pretty much all commercials.
Right.
So
right.
It was funny. A friend of mine the other day, she's like, "Oh, it's like that commercial, blah blah blah." I'm like, I haven't seen a commercial in 15 years, 10, at least 10 years, at least not on a regular basis. So
Right.
I
So you
wouldn't know
really
the
seek it out.
Geico guy if I
Yeah.
bumped into him on the street. Right. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay. All right.
but
That
yeah,
that's all right.
I get it as it comes through social media. So,
So, but
however,
you
if
you
that's
seek it
good or
out.
bad,
You
once,
seek it out.
once in a
You're
while, when I get a little downtime,
right.
I'll go to Facebook or Twitter or
Gotcha.
wherever,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
get whatever.
Thank you, Robert. Dr. Chris, I'd like to bring you in. How do you handle the news, the daily news?
Yeah, well, what I do is kind of the same as Robert. I choose to look at the news online, maybe 2, 3 minutes twice a day. So a total of 6 minutes per day. That's all I can handle, and that serves me really well because I don't get stressed out. The rest of I only have 6 minutes in my 24 hours where I get a little bit stressed out, and the rest of my many minutes left, I am very relaxed.
That sounds wonderful. How about you, Chef?
Like Doctor and Robert said, I also avoid the watching the news. If I do see it pop up or if someone tells me about something, I will, tune in. But for the most part, no, I do not watch the news at all. I just found it, especially since COVID, when I felt like I was just being pounded constantly with, what's happening on deaths and things like that. It was too much for me. So I just completely block it out.
Mhm.
All right. I guess I'm the only one, 6:30 to 7, sitting in front of the television, and I'm really watching. And many times I watch after I go to bed too. So, that's just my rhythm. But this is just something I need to do. But the minute I have it on during the day, it's a stressor. Interrupting my thought pattern unless something is really happening where we should put it on the news.
Mhm.
So, but my ritual is 6:30 to 7. Next question from John. There's so much conflicting information out there. Who do I trust? Well, John, I can't tell you who to trust. Who wants to answer that? I don't
Well,
trust anybody who sits on television and tells me anything. So
yeah.
that's my answer to that.
I think you have to trust your gut. You watch a few different things, you get information from multiple sources, and then listen to what your gut tells you is right or wrong. That's at least how I try to approach it.
Yeah. How about you, Doctor?
Well, I watch trustworthy sites, especially medical sites. I read research that is well done, well documented, and I make my opinion determine when I read all the research. Especially nowadays with the conflicting medical news, I go to the basis. I go to the research and I make my opinion. I don't do gut feeling at this point. I do research and trustworthy research, knowing that sometimes the research is wrong. So you've got to know all those. But I take all this into account and then I make my own opinion.
Okay. Shakima, I'd like to ask, how do you, when you listen to the news and they talk about something medical, and especially people who are not doctors and they start giving advice, how do you feel about that as a mother? Do you
You know, it,
listen to them, or how do you handle something like that as a mom?
As for me, for the most part, what I do is I research myself. If I see something that's just doesn't seem right or it doesn't sound like it's been researched or scientifically proven, especially when it comes to eating healthy or weight loss and anything that's wellness related, everyone has an opinion on that, but not everyone is correct and not everyone has been, has the right credentials. So I tend to, if I find something, I go, let me get a little bit more information on this. I'll, go on the internet, I'll do my own research and come to a conclusion of what's best for me and what's for my family.
Right. I do the same thing. If I'm interested in something, what they're saying, I don't believe anything, especially if they're not doctors. I don't believe anything. So, and then I will research it. I will start. And we have the in-house doctor, Dr. I can always give her a call if there's something really pressing that, but I don't take anything from just because you appear on television. So Richard emailed me and he said, my friend talks politics nonstop and it's making me anxious. Should
Mm.
I avoid them? Who would like to answer that?
Huh, should you avoid them? You know, it's so hard to say don't be a good friend because for that friend, that will be what, brings them joy. But if
Yeah.
it's mentally draining for you, I would just limit my interactions with that person or, just explain to them, I'm not really into politics the way that you are. It makes me stress while you may make me happy. So I would
Yes.
either just limit the amount of times we speak or, try to change the conversation, change the course of the conversation as much as possible.
Right. Uh, you said it too. And Robert would say, I throw the baby out with the bathwater. Robert,
Well,
how
I
do you
think,
handle if you have
yeah,
somebody
I think
that
she's
talks
got the
politics?
right answer saying, just limit it and not let the politics get in between your friendship. But if the person just keeps on insisting, then you have to distance yourself for your own self-care. But at least in the beginning, say, hey, let's just hang out and talk about, soccer or football or baseball or the latest movie and not about politics, and just try to be upfront with them that that really isn't um you know their their thing, because again, to talk politics you have to know about the politics. And if you
Right.
just start talking about politics based off of very little information, it the it's probably going to descend into chaos pretty quickly as it is. So unless both people are really into it, both people shouldn't really be discussing that matter. I did though want to just bring up really quickly this and ask the doctor about the Tylenol situation that is a current event with people saying Tylenol can cause problems if taken by pregnant women, and then Tylenol having its own statement going back to 2017 saying, yeah, we don't recommend women taking our product. But doctor, have you found any correlation there, or are you still doing the research?
No, there is a study that was published in JAMA Psychiatry in February 2020 that was done on 996 mother-infant diets, and that shows that it could be a correlation between Tylenol and the doses of Tylenol and autism. If there's a very high doses of Tylenol, it could be more at risk of autism. But again, this is a small study.
Mm,
And subsequently, there has been bigger studies that have not shown anything like this. But it's true that this small study has shown a correlation, which does not mean causation.
mm,
That doesn't mean that one causes the other. It's just a correlation. So the consensus, what I tell my patients that are pregnant, I just tell them, don't take Tylenol, high doses every single day.
mm.
But
Right.
if you have a fever, you can take your Tylenol. I mean, it's just don't take it every day when you're pregnant. That's all. But again,
Right.
you wouldn't take. I recommend not to take any other than supplements or vitamins. I wouldn't recommend to take any other medication every single day
Every
during
day
pregnancy.
anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Okay, and when I was in the hospital and they were giving me gentamicin, it was for the infection. It wasn't until months later that it caused nerve damage in my ear, and I'm now deaf in my right ear. And they said, yes, it's from the gentamicin. But again, it was only because it was high doses over like a 12 or 18-week period, where normally you only give somebody, a normal dose for 10 or 14 days, not weeks and weeks and weeks at double the dose. So I think that that does have a factor, because to me, it does seem pretty strange that you wouldn't be able to take a Tylenol once in a while, and that by just taking one here or there over a few month period would be a problem.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably right on as far as it's dose every day, taking six a day, eight a day, 10 a day. That could be a problem whether you're pregnant or not. That'll
Exactly.
Yeah.
hurt your body in
Yeah.
other ways. Because
Yeah. And let
yeah.
us stay with the doctor before we
Mhm.
go for a break. What small daily habit can we create to stay calm in with all this noise that is around us?
Mm.
What can we do?
Oh, there is a lot of daily habits that we
Mm.
can take. So first, you need to choose how and when to listen to the news. So I recommend to limit listening to the news for, maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes once or twice a day, but not more. Make sure your sources are trustworthy And be aware that many headlines are designed for people to click on them, which gives potential clicks for advertisements, and balance is important. So just as you'd watch and balance what you eat, and Shakima is probably going to talk on that, you need to watch and balance what you feed your mind. So reduce your exposure to anxiety-inducing content like social media, and counter negative news with content that is inspiring, educational, or calming, like nature documentaries and personal development sites. Now train your nervous system to stay calm, even when things feel chaotic. Like try deep breathing, try mindfulness or meditation, even 5 to 10 minutes daily, or even 1 to 2 minutes daily can increase your tolerance for stress. Now go for walks, stretch, play tennis, pickleball, go to the gym, go to Pilates, do yoga. You can even do laughing yoga, do Tai Chi. Any kind of form of physical activity will do, because physical activity will help reduce anxiety. So, and create rituals that center you, like morning meditation, do drawing, painting, dancing, singing during the day, go for a walk in nature, and name 3 things that you are grateful for at bedtime, and have real in-person conversations with grounded people, grounded friends. That's it.
I love that. And I would add protect your mind like you protect your home. Decide what you let in. And that is so true. And that's just wrapping that up, the first segment. So let's just go for a quick break. And feeling stressed by the news and rising cost of living, life can feel overwhelming, but small steps toward wellness make a big difference. That's what we share here at Life Talk with Mariette. Stay connected with us at lifetalkwithmariette.com or kmareducation.org. And don't forget to read inspiring stories and insights at thehealingmindmagazine.com, because your health, your voice, and your story matters. And now back to the program. You're listening to Staying Well When the World Feels Unsteady with Dr. Chris Gilbert, Chef Shakima, and Robert Adamo. Thank you for being here. And let's just move over to the next segment, financial worries and security. Every time I open a bill, the emailer said, my chest tightens. Is that normal? I would say it's normal. Yes, when you open up a bill, I get chest pains too. Doctor, are we supposed to get chest pains when we open up a bill?
Not really chest pain. I mean, if you get chest pain, I would recommend you check
No,
with your
sorry, I said it
cardiologist.
wrong. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm sending them to the hospital. I misspoke. I'm sorry. My chest tightens. That's what he said. Sorry, I misread.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's normal to feel anxious when you open your bills because, wages haven't kept up with inflation, rent, food, energy costs are rising globally. So, yeah, many people are working more, they're resting less, and they're barely getting by. So, yeah, it's normal to get anxious when you open your bill. But this is a systemic issue. It's not a personal failure. So while you cannot control the system, you can take care of yourself within the system. So that's going to be another topic. Yes.
Try to talk to a telephone company to get something straightened out. Like when you make adjustment to your billings and everything, and they go through the first cycle and it's still not right, and try to find a person that can correct that. That's amazing in these big giant companies. It's just really amazing. And I do want to ask you something, doctor. I brought that up in the last time you were on the show. Um, the blood pressure. There is a normal blood pressure reading.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it possible? How should that be even possible? That you have a steady blood pressure reading of what the ideal figure should be, because that's nearly impossible. As soon as you leave the house and you jump in your car and you drive in traffic, any movement elevates your blood pressure. And I'm not talking about, yeah, go ahead.
No, that's true. You're absolutely right. But what matters is the blood pressure that you have at home and at rest. Because it's same thing at your doctor's office. You're going to have the white coat syndrome. So your blood pressure will be elevated. The best way is to get a blood pressure monitor at your local pharmacy, and you check it. You check it at home at rest. And that is your reliable blood pressure. Because otherwise, of course, it's going to increase when you run errands or or when you do your taxes and all this stuff like this, of
Because
course.
I don't know if anybody has experienced that, but walking into my doctor's office, they always check the blood pressure. I know them. So, and at some point it was 130, whatever. Last time I was there, it was 151 over whatever. Oh, you have a high blood pressure. They scare you, and you don't even need to comment, doctor. You really don't. But common sense tells me, and I told her, I said, doctor, it takes me time to drive to the office. I'm moving around. How can the blood pressure stay the same? The ideal, that's impossible. They don't say much to you. They really don't say much to you at all. So, and always try to prescribe a medication. I resent that very highly, even though I respect doctors, but I resent that very highly because you never get, yes, you're right. When you're moving around, your blood pressure is affected by that. I never get that.
I think they were supposed to explain it to you, like Dr. Chris did, that there's what's called the resting blood pressure after
Mhm.
you've been sitting for 10 minutes, and also calm of mind, because you could be sitting, quote unquote, resting, but
Right,
if you're thinking about bills or stressful situation,
right,
yes, your blood pressure is going to be raised because you're releasing endorphins into your system, and that's artificially raising your blood pressure, even though you're quote unquote resting.
right.
Your mind has to be at rest as well. And in my 20s, I did a lot of biofeedback where I was just hooked up to machines where I could sit there and just with my thoughts, I could bring my pulse down to 60 if I thought calming thoughts, and
Hmm.
I can make it raise to 110 if I thought about running through the mountains and jumping in the water and doing, even though I was 100% stationary, the thoughts of doing exciting things get your pulse going. It's just like when you're getting ready to go to a big event or a party or a concert or whatever, your blood pressure and your pulse is already racing, even though you're still sitting at home with the tickets in your hand, just look going, oh, I'm going to be going to this tomorrow night.
Right, right,
So mentally, we just have to, it can't be taken so serious as far as your blood pressure all the time has to stay within this range, because obviously we would
yeah,
just never go anywhere. Like sloths are the only things that keep their blood pressure very regulated even while moving. But it's normal for our blood pressure to go high, but the doctor was supposed to explain to you when you're sitting there resting,
right,
it shouldn't be super
right.
elevated all the time, because that is an
Right.
indication
And
of a
what they
problem.
did just as of late, they contacted me and I'm supposed to give them a blood pressure reading. And of course, I didn't do that. I was busy and Ellie died and my cat Ellie died and so forth. And they called me once a week. They called me once a
Mm,
week and I really resented that. I really did.
mm,
So, but moving along, I'll handle that somehow. Um, the next email, I wasn't quite sure what to think of it. I feel embarrassed to talk about money struggles. How do I open up? The person said. And Shakima or doctor or both,
Sure.
what do you think about that?
In this date, the doctor mentioned before, so many of us are struggling with monies, whether it's student loans or just daily living. The price
Hmm.
of everything has seemed to have skyrocketed. I don't think anyone you know, can avoid what's really happening. But if you share with somebody else, they may be able to say, hey, it's not you alone. We're all going through it. And maybe they can give you tips or advice on how to better either manage your money or little tidbits that can help you, feel better about whatever you're going through when it comes to money.
Right. No, a lot of people would feel embarrassed, but uh, we need to talk about that because everything has really gone up. Just go to the grocery store, how much everything has increased, just alone on the coffee alone, ground coffee, what the coffee costs now. That's just one out of many. I don't need
Yes.
to get into it, but
Food is
uh, pardon
food
me?
is very expensive right now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Chef. Yes, it is. Doctor, do you think somebody should be embarrassed if they have money struggles? What do you think?
I think if they're embarrassed, I cannot choose how people feel, but I think that so many people are in the same boat.
Yeah.
So many people are struggling. So they really shouldn't feel embarrassed because it's what everybody feels. And uncertainty creates stress. But I think what's important is to create clarity, and create clarity will give the people control. So my advice is to do a financial check-in. That would be very simple. What is your actual monthly expenses? What is your current income? Do you have any buffer savings? What are your financial leaks? What are you paying every month that you are not using and that you can do without? And budget with just a simple spreadsheet, and that will give you more confidence. That you will see how you can cut, which cost you can cut. You can see, how you can achieve to save some money or not to spend all your money by spending it wisely. And that's the way to go, I think, nowadays with what's happening.
Thank you so much. And the next question, is it a waste of time to see a financial counselor if I'm low income? And let me answer that question. No, many nonprofit agencies offer free sessions, and it may just be a temporary thing. So through seeing financial counselors, you learn what's out there, and they may have good advice to bring you on the right track. If you do this, that this happens. If you do that, this happens. So next question, how do I stop my money stress from spilling over into my family life? Let me ask Robert. Yeah.
Well, again, just like the ladies mentioned, you have to get your budget and your financial situation in check. Otherwise, it's always going to stress you out every month, every week, every day sometimes. So the financial stress is real and has to be dealt with. You can't just sweep it under the rug and hope it's going to just go away or that you're going to win the lotto or something. So it has to be dealt with. And again, I think part of the last question of feeling embarrassed or shamed or this, that I feel comes from our upbringing, that we feel like, oh, if we're not able to just be 100% financially sound, then we failed somehow. And because we failed, we don't want to tell other people we failed. But that's just such the wrong mindset, because it's not our failure, especially when things are so out of control in the economy. And again, ever since COVID, things been supply chain this and different problems there, and just one thing after another. So I think really we have to break out of that old mentality and say, one, this is not going to stress me out. We have to take the problem, face the problem head on, and figure out, you got two choices. You either cut money or you figure out how to earn more money. Those are the only two options. It
That's right.
shouldn't be
That's right. That's it.
right.
You're absolutely right.
If you let
Yeah.
the stress get in, it's the stress is preventing you from finding a solution to one of those two
Mhm.
things, and until you can make more money, unfortunately, you're left with the other option. You got
Yeah.
to cut certain things and then work towards making more money. That's really the only option,
Yeah.
in
And
my
look at some,
opinion.
right. And look at some of the people, and they're around me too. Their
Hmm.
spending habits. Yeah.
Hmm.
They go to work and they go three times a day and stop to buy something.
Right.
Whether
Hmm.
it's Dunkin' Donuts, $5, $6. These drinks cost
Hmm.
$2, $3. And before you know,
Hmm.
$15 is, and when I see that, where it's so
Hmm.
easy to bring your own water bottle. And Chef
Hmm.
and I, when we met this week, Chef had her water bottle. I had my bottle of water.
Hmm.
But no, it cost. It really
Hmm.
it's and then you get into the habit every single day. You got to stop here. You got to stop there. Forget that. Let me go for a quick break. And after the break, we're going into the cost of living versus cost to our health, and we will get into meal preparation and so forth with the chef. So stay
Hmm.
tuned. Looking for balance in an unsteady world? At Life Talk with Marietta, we believe wellness grows when we share our experiences. Join the conversation, explore resources, and connect with us at lifetalkwithmarietta.com or kmareducation.org. And for fresh perspectives on living well, check out thehealingmindmagazine.com. Together, we can stay steady even when the world feels unsteady. So now back to the program. Chef, this is your segment, the cost of living versus cost to our health. And this lady, Anna, said, I buy cheap frozen meals to save money. Is that really bad? That's what she
Um,
said. I'm
I
reading
don't,
it.
I don't think anything is bad. I do think that there can be better choices. People do think that once they are purchasing frozen meals, and there's nothing wrong with frozen produce, just sometimes it's even better. However, I found that, utilizing the local farms, utilizing farmers markets, you can find ingredients that are very, very inexpensive. Another thing that she can do is look for coupons. Couponing is still a thing. Most local grocery stores, they have rewards, and they also, I know for one example, Stop and Shop, they give you like a meal planning coupon where you can choose this whole entire meal and you get certain parts of the meal for free or discounted,
Mm.
a discounted rate. So no, I don't think that using frozen, especially if that's all that she can get to, is bad. However, there are other options that you can get that's fresher and a little bit more nutritious.
Right. I think people should make the effort because I really sat here for 2 hours yesterday. I was figuring out different things. And I said, okay, $25 for just for one day, meal preparation for four, two adults, two children. And how do you really teach children the prices? By taking them to the store, or you have a mock
Yes.
class and everything. Because most kids have no idea what the cost is. They have no relationship yet. Nobody taught them yet the currency, the value of the currency and everything. But it's doable, but you really have to think about it. So you have one day done for $25. Then the next day, chef, how would you go about something like that? Let's say if you only had $25 a day times seven, because we have 7 days in the week, how would you go about it?
One of the things I do with my family, we buy in bulk.
Mhm.
We buy in bulk as much as possible. So, it might be more expensive up front, but if I plan out my meals, I know what I'm making for the week. Another thing that you can do is focus on the outskirts. I know everyone say the outskirts of the supermarket as fresh produce, beans, lentils, things like that are really inexpensive, and you can stretch it. You can stretch it. You can make a pasta sauce with vegetables instead of meat, which can save you. It can still be very filling and satisfying, but it can also save you a lot of money.
Yeah, because a lot of people think, oh, healthy foods feel too expensive and they want tips from us. Well, you
Right.
know what? They don't know how to work with it. And also talk a little bit about your spice creation because that makes simple food. And I've already used your two spice jars. Even for my salads, I put some in. I
Yes.
wanted to test it. So the simple food and how to make gourmet meals. That's what people need to learn, and they need to plan. A lot of people don't plan. They don't prepare. They don't plan. They don't plan for
Mhm.
anything.
Wait, because
That's
they think
where,
that it's exactly, they think it's difficult. If they think that it's something that they can't do, it's something that is hard. But it's not hard, it's not difficult at all. One of the things I always encourage is eating by the season, only because once foods are in season, not only are they in abundance, so it's a little bit more inexpensive, but you might not be familiar with a certain food. And that's why I encourage people, just because you're unsure of what an ingredient is, Google is right there. Our internet search bar is right there. You can just look it up. Well, how do I use this particular ingredient? And that's one way that we can save just by purchasing what's in season.
yeah, I think the parents need education. We need to re-educate ourselves because it's giving ourselves a haircut and looking at it from because we can be on a budget and everybody should be on a budget. And some people they don't need to be on a budget for whatever reason. Doctor, I'd like to bring you in. What is your take on this?
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Well, buying food or meals that are already prepared are usually not healthy, and it's usually more expensive. In order for them to taste good, they need to have a lot of sugar, a lot of salt, a lot of spices, but sugar and salt are not healthy. So what is better is I recommend that people cook their own meal, and again, doing a salad. Buying all the ingredients to make a salad with lettuce and radishes and cucumber. This is very, very cheap. Um, as Shakima was saying, lentils, beans, so this is also very cheap if they cook by themselves. And people don't need to have meat every single day. It's actually recommended not to eat meat or beef, for example, too often. Fish is actually better. But again, they don't need to have fish every day. What's important is fruits, vegetables, salads, enough of the good basic ingredients. So it's actually very easy and much tastier to cook, using basil, using thyme, rosemary. It's just so healthy. So that's what I do. I cook, and and now when I go to a restaurant, they say, "Oh my God, that doesn't taste as good as what I cook." Learn how to cook with basic ingredients and cheap ingredients.
Right. And just salt and pepper won't hit it. But when you experiment with spices, it wakes up the vegetable.
Yes.
It wakes your palates up, and the vegetable is awake. That's exciting. Chef, I want to go. I had a conversation with you. I'm a water hater. I don't drink enough water because water doesn't turn me on. But you have teas. Teas, I always like hot tea and flavored, in other words, flavored tea, hot and cold. Talk a little bit about that. And is that expensive when people go over to teas, drinking more cold, cold tea, iced tea?
No, so I am a water lover. We had
Okay.
that conversation. I drink quite a bit of water, but I know a lot of people do not like water, and I always encourage them not only just with, different herbs and fruits and vegetables that they can put in their water. For this week, for example, I've been adding okra to my water. I've been drinking that first thing in the morning. So it doesn't change the taste of it. It changes the texture just a little bit, but they can do other things to, just to switch things up a little bit. Teas is another great way. Not only can you save money that way,
Mm,
I don't purchase any type of juice for my house. We make a
mm.
lot of teas, iced tea, lemonades, and everyone knows how to make that from scratch. Just, even if you have to buy a tea bag, it's still cheaper and much longer lasting than buying juice from the supermarket.
Yeah, never bought juice. Maybe we had apple juice, maybe when my daughter was growing up, maybe, but she was a milk person. At that time, we
Right.
believed in milk.
But there's so
So
many different types of teas, you can experiment with teas as well. I have a small garden here. I have a little garden on my windowsill, and I sometimes will add with fresh basil tea or fresh sage tea, or I mix it together, fresh lemongrass tea, where I can either make it hot or I can make it cold just by, letting it steep overnight. And I add a little sweetener, agave or honey, organic cane sugar, or whatever, sweetener you choose. But it's a way of increasing your water intake if you are not a water lover.
yeah, and I'm not. I couldn't believe, what is that? A gallon you had there? A pink gallon of it was a heavy mug. Oh my God! I mean, huge thing. I mean, you can't oversee that thing. And some of these health wellness places, oh, they put slices of lemon in it, which isn't bad. I do that too. But it's not a big deal to me. It doesn't make me drink more. And slices of cucumber. Now, how excited can I get over cucumber? Please. But what I did do, I bought some herbs in the grocery store and I put mint, these little packages you get for $2.40 with the few sprigs of herb. And I put them, look, the mint I put in the water in that big jug. And the water didn't taste like mint, but the mint, the leaves that I took out today, they were fresh and healthy looking. Fresh and healthy looking. I took it out of them because the jug was empty, but the leaves looked terrific. But I didn't have any flavor of the mint.
Hmm.
Why is that? Did I do something wrong? Should I go put
I
hot?
think they have to be dried and crushed. I think that's
Actually, you don't have to. You probably just didn't let it sit long enough in it. And it's not meant to have a very strong flavor. Like even if you do cucumber or lemon and orange or whatever fruit you choose,
Right.
it's not meant to be like juice. It's really just meant to be a light flavor profile that you're
Mm.
just switching up. Not meant to overwhelm your taste buds. Just ha adds a little subtle change in your water.
Mm. But the teas I love, the cold and the hot teas, that I will drink more because I enjoy that. But just I have a bottle of water right here and I'm holding it in my hand. It doesn't excite me. It
Now,
doesn't excite me.
one thing you might want to try, Mariette, is
Yeah.
hibiscus flowers in your water, and that will taste really good, and also it will make your blood pressure go down.
Oh,
See, there you go.
I second
Two
that
for
as
one.
well.
do you
Hibiscus
have
flower.
hibiscus flower tea?
Uh-huh.
I do.
Really?
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, that sounds good. I don't know what it. I know what it looks like, hibiscus. I know what it looks like, but I've never tasted it. I think in Germany, when I grew up, they had that. I think it's Hagebuttete. It has that. It's a red berry, right? Hibiscus,
Hmm. Yeah,
the red
it's red.
berry, right? Oh, okay, I got it right. Oh, okay, okay. Now people are cutting back on their going for cleanings. They're cutting back here and there and everything. But what are some of the areas we should not cut back, doctor, especially when it's about health?
About food you want, or about in health in general?
Health in general. For instance, if people are used to going every 6 months to get their teeth cleaned, I don't know if that's necessary or not. I'm not a dentist. I never asked. So that should tell you, yeah, some people go maybe every 3 months they get their teeth cleaned. I have no idea. But what are some of the things we could cut back? Um,
Well, we could go. Well, there's one thing, things that you cannot, I would not advise to cut back is sleep. You need your at least 6 or 7 hours of sleep per night. So you need to go to bed ideally at the same time every night. You need to wake up ideally at the same time every morning. Do not cut back on that. You need to eat properly. I would not cut back on that. You need at least one hot meal per day that is, with fruits, vegetables, a little bit of fish, for example, beans. I would not cut back on that. And that's those are, and also energy. Well, for energy, the things you want to cut back on is get energy leaks. Get rid of toxic relationships. If you have friends that are very toxic for you, just don't see them anymore. Time leaks. Get rid of internet distractions. So get rid of those. So there are things that you should not get rid of that are important for your balance, and there are things that you've got to be able to get rid of if they're leaks.
right, 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 right. Yes. So before we go for break, um, let me just the cost of living versus cost of our health, because the cost of health is always less than the cost of illness. Right, doctor?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolute preventative is so much better. You need to
Mhm.
prevent illnesses that will be so much cheaper than just not getting the right amount of sleep, not eating the right things, and then you get sick, and then you get all those health expenses and doctors and ER and if you have cancer, then that's even more, and that could cost your life. So always, always, always make sure that you get plenty of sleep, good food, nutrition, adequate nutrition.
Yeah, we got to talk about
Absolutely.
that some more, everyday wellness. Let me just go for a quick break. Want a place where your voice and story are heard? Life Talk with Mariette is here for you, sharing conversations that matter and ideas that keep us strong. Connect at lifetalkwithmarietta.com or kmareducation.org and explore even more at thehealingmindmagazine.com because staying well is something we grow together. So now back to our final chapter, which is building resilience and everyday wellness. Let's see what are they writing to me? How do I build routines when my days always feel overwhelming? Well, I have my own ideas to that. They're probably always like that. But, doctor, let me start with that. Let me start with you. How do I build routines when my days always feel overwhelming? I don't think that sounds to me like they don't have anything handled. Sorry to
Yeah.
say that, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I read
Yeah.
something.
So you need to start with the non-negotiables. Always start with sleep, protect it. It's the foundation of all resilience. Second is stillness. Just even 5 minutes per day of quietness. Breathe for 5 minutes a day at least, stretch or pray or journal. And the third non-negotiable is fuel. Feed your body good fuel. So simple meals matter. So those are always your reset buttons. When life gets hectic, always return to them. And then you need to train your mind like a muscle. Work not only on physical fitness, but also on mental fitness and learn to be flexible. So turn negatives into positives. If there is something negative happening, what is the opportunity in this? How can I find something positive from that? and list one or three or two or three small wins daily. And build awareness for your nervous systems. Before being overwhelmed, pause and take a few deep breaths. When you're overwhelmed, you feel like that's it, I'm overwhelmed. Step away, move your body, drink water, even Mariette when you don't, yeah, if you don't like water, be
Oh, I don't.
and be aware of what's happening. And after chaos, reflect. What helped me getting through that? What can I repeat? What should I do differently next time? And always protect your energy over time. So wellness is as much about energy management as well as time management. So ask, what drains me daily? People, apps, habits, noise. What recharges me daily could be nature, silence, movement, music, touch. Stay away from what drains you and do more of what recharges you. And build your resilience circle. Have one or two people with whom you can be honest when you're not okay. And surround yourself with people who prioritize health, healing, and growth. And finally, expect the storms. You will have hard days. Resilience doesn't prevent them. So with the tools that I just give you, you can panic less, you will have more clarity, and you will recover faster. And this way you can feel healthier and happier even when you're in the middle of the storms that will inevitably happen.
Mhm, mhm. I had we have churches, we have library classes, we have walking clubs, and this person wrote, I don't really have close friends nearby. How do I build support? When I read this and how they phrase something, well, you start by moving out of the house. You start by taking action. That's number one. And those are adult people that ask these questions. They're not little, the kids would know better. I'm sorry to say that. The kids would know better what to do. Why are some of the look, not everybody's married, not everybody stays married. Um, we were born alone, we're going to die alone. That's how I look at it. And many people go through life by themselves and they're into their career, they have adult children now, and they're okay with it. So it's totally up to a person to make friends or not. But you have to you have to reach out. You have to get involved in your local community if you want the contact. If you don't, stay home. What is always this crying, how do I build support? I mean, how old are you? 55, 60, and you don't know the answer? I'm sorry, I have to say that. That's how I look at it. Robert, what do you say to that?
Well, I think, we were kind of conditioned against in school days that if you don't do something, you're a failure. If you do something this way, you're a loser or you're a this. And these terrible words that, high school kids and young adults use towards each other, it's a shame because people don't realize how it impacts them, the other people throughout their whole life. And I think most people, they came out of high school with, they had friends in high school because they were forced together. Then they maybe got a job and they met people on the job. But again, it was because they were forced together. But in today's world where probably 30% of people work from home and everybody's more on their phones and devices, it is harder to meet people. But like you said, you have to go out and be outgoing, but people are in a sense either so shy or just don't have the skills and the tools to know how to go out and meet people. And that's, I know you take it for granted because you're an outgoing person and you can walk in anywhere and say, Hi, I'm Mariette, and how are you doing? And you can start a conversation. But most people aren't that outgoing. And, people again today, um, are very sensitive. It's like they can't be bothered. Everybody's busy. Nobody's got time. In small town USA, you used to walk down the street and you'd say hi to the person crossing the street with you, whether you knew them or not, because you were in the same town together. But nowadays, everybody just walks by each other. Nobody makes eye contact with anybody. And it's very sad because we're all here. We got all one chance on this planet, one shot, and we need to make the most of it and not be isolate ourselves and then wonder why we're isolated.
Yeah.
That to me is the
But I
biggest
tell you
problem.
something, if you had, and I noticed that today in the city, that people, would walk by, and I even watched myself how I was reacting. Yes, I was looking at them, but then I looked the other way, my eyes moved. So neither one of us said anything. But I bet you if we had been with our dogs, dog owners,
Mm.
they talk to one another. If you have a
Well,
dog,
because you have,
you know,
there's a
yeah,
commonality there.
yeah,
Right.
isn't that
Mm-hmm.
something? Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Shakima, I'd like to bring you in. How do you react with people? What do you say to this?
I agree with Robert. This time, so many of us have become more comfortable being at home. But you can find things like you were talking about dog people, liking dogs. You have to get out of the house. You have to find people who are similar to you or have similar hobbies, whether it's, going to a book club or something to get you meeting people. And you can't really do that online. So I also suggest just getting out of the house and maybe getting out of your comfort zone just a little bit.
Right. Dr. Chris, I'd like to bring you in. What if a person hasn't found what really works for them? If meditation doesn't work for them, meditation works for me. I need to have a quiet mind. So that helps me every single day, and I do it religiously. But so meditation is not, one size fits all. But what if they haven't quite found what works for them? Uh,
Then it's wonderful because there are so many doors they can open
yeah,
and explore. It's
yeah.
wonderful. It's like getting into a candy shop.
Yes,
Explore
yes,
Tai Chi, explore
yes, doctor.
Pilates, explore the gym, explore
Right.
taking drawing lessons, painting lessons, singing lessons, an
Yes.
instrument, play the
Go for it,
piano.
doctor. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love it. No, it's true. It's absolutely true. I have no sympathy with that. Keep trying. Keep trying. And they don't try. Maybe they try once or twice, and then then they stop again. People are not consistent, and consistency is very important with everything. And you're so right. I agree with you because there's so many things that you can test out. You can try out. So, Robert, how do you keep in shape mentally, emotionally? What are you doing?
Currently, I just work, unfortunately, but when I'm not just working all the time,
Sleep.
I try to go out and, you know, like everybody here said, try to find activities where you can engage with people. I used to go play pool a lot. And so, because again, you're playing a game with another person that might be start out to be a random stranger when you walk into the place. After a few games of pool, you get to talk and have a basket of fries and chicken or something, and
Oh,
then
okay.
you
Not
get
healthy, not
to
healthy.
not healthy, but
And it's $60, a minimum of
nonetheless.
$60. You're spending money again, Robert. Six
Well,
minimum
you
of
have
60.
to meet people. You have to spend money. That's the bottom line. I mean, you have to go out and engage with people. Whether again, it's at um, all sorts of places, but it's not like you could go to a movie and just start talking to people in the movie theater. They're not going to appreciate that very much.
Bring your own
But,
sandwich, Robert.
oh, okay. Bring my own sandwich. There you go. Um,
That was fun.
but
I thought it was funny.
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, but you got to get out and you got to
right.
try. But I think, Shakima's got a great idea with having cooking classes because that is going to bring people together to learn a new skill and craft. And if they come to class multiple times in a row, those people are going to get to know each other and they're going to get to learn how to cook food and plan economically. Like for me, when it comes to the food thing, that's my biggest struggle because I don't know when I'm going to be able to eat next. And even when I do get to eat next, I don't know what I'm going to be in the mood for. So, when I spent some time during COVID helping a friend of mine with her kids because the parents had to go to work all day, every morning she'd wake up, okay, well, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, it's 9:30 in the morning. I don't even know what I want for breakfast. How am I going to know what I want for dinner? And she's like, well, but I have to take it out and it has to defrost and might have to pick something up from the store. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like too much work for me. Okay, I'll just have whatever you guys are having, so, but planning is really the key.
That's right. So to wrap this up, Doctor, I'd like to start with you. What advice would you have for our listeners?
Well, I would keep in mind what I think is important is the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So focus on that. Focus on the things that you can control. You won't be able to control the news. You're not going to be able to control the fact that prices are rising, the price of food are rising, electricity are rising, but you can control what you do and focus on that, and you will be much less anxious with that.
Okay, Chef, thank you. Chef, what would you what would your advice be like?
Sure. So I have a couple of things. One of them is practicing wellness practices such as movement, any type of movement, whether it's walking, yoga, lifting weights, or, just really getting that mind-body connection, as well as eating well. A lot of times when we're not feeling well, it's because of what we ate, and then we tend to eat the same exact thing that made us not feel well. But if we are, eating foods that nourish us and brings us joy rather than foods that, are not the best for us, that can definitely change how we're feeling. I also recommend just trying to appreciate the present moment, not focusing on the past, not focusing on the future, but just staying as present as possible with, your surroundings, your family, your friends, with yourself. And those are all ways that we can just be as, increase our mental health and mental capacity and
Thank you.
well-being.
Thank you. And how about you, Robert? I don't want to skip over you. What would your tip would be? What would it be?
It's really, you got to face the problems head on, identify what's really stressing you out. And I think the biggest thing is today we just take it for granted that little Susie has to go to ballet and little Jimmy has to go to Cub Scouts and we have to do this art project. Cut some of those things out. It would be my advice if you're stressed, not only financially, but with time and have kids. I know it's not like you have to take away all their activities, but at least cut down one or two a week. I think could help. And again, pace those things out and be like, well, we don't have to do these three activities all this summer. We'll do karate for 3 weeks or 3 months, and then we'll do ballet, and then we'll do, craft making. But to try to be doing them all the time, I think at least when I saw from my family, who has my sister has 3 boys and a girl, we had to be in 5 different places, parts of town, all by 6 o'clock in the evening. And it was like, why are we stressing ourselves like this when we know we can't be in 3 different places all at once? Why don't we just say, this quarter, this little period of time, this kid is in a sense gonna, if they can't participate in what the other kid's doing, they
Mm.
have to stay at home and do other
You'll
activities.
have
Or
war. You'll have war at home.
hey, well,
Somehow I remember my daughter, they managed with the two children because they're only a year apart, Max and Sophie. I
right.
don't remember how it was when Heidi grew up. We didn't really have that stress. They weren't here, there, and
Exactly. They weren't being pulled in
they
20
weren't.
different directions like
That's
kids
right. So you do have, there
nowadays.
is some truth to what you're saying. I just have to think
Hmm.
about it because I don't have
Yeah.
it readily available what you're
Uh,
saying. But it's true.
uh,
But parents today, they try to really give both equal. If Susie goes
Which,
to ballet, Max goes to football or whatever. Isn't that the truth?
right. Well, of course you want it to be that way, but like the doctor said, you have to pick your battles. If you find that that is just stressing you out and it's taking away the sleep and the homework and the this, then
Right.
those extracurricular activities, those are the first ones that have to go. They're not called extracurricular for nothing. They're extra,
No, you're right. No,
but
you're right. No, I
you
agree
know,
with you because I
right,
wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want to live, okay, being pulled to the left and to the right, and
right,
that every day.
right. It's just too
I can't.
stressful.
I wouldn't do it.
Right,
So, but
right.
anyway, today we explored how to stay well when the world feels unsteady. We reminded ourselves that protect your mind like you protect your home. Decide what you let in. We talked about money stress and how financial calm starts with one small choice at a time. We looked at health and costs, remembering that the cost of health is always less than the cost of illness. And we closed with resilience, knowing resilience grows in the little things we do every day. So today's program sparked, if we sparked any thoughts, a story or even a question, we would love to hear from you. Visit us at kmreducation.org or lifetalkwithmarietta.com. Thank you to my guests, Dr. Chris Gilbert, Robert Adamo, and culinary educator Shakima Romero. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mariette. Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you,
Right.
everybody. Have a great
You have a
night.
good evening. Thank you.
And check us out of upcoming Conscious Living programs 2025. Till next time, I'm Marietta Camera, and be well. Good night.
Right.